guys, Rob Hogue here, Bass Stalker Fishing. I had a pretty good swim bait bite going today. Didn't catch really any size. I did catch one that went almost 3.5. But when I'm swim bait fishing, normally I'm throwing my swim bait rod. It's a bigger rod, heavier line, big swim baits. But today they didn't want any of that. I tried throwing swim baits, spinner baits. I threw everything at them today. And until I switched to this, I just wasn't getting bit. So what I did was I downsized everything. I started throwing a spinning rod with light line. I was throwing 8 or 10-pound P-line TCBX braid as my main line, and then I had about a 10-foot 100% fluorocarbon P-line leader that was about 8-pound test. The bait I was using is a Kitech 4.3 AYU or AYO color. I like these swim baits. I mean, I threw like 7 different color swim baits, and this was the only one I got bit. So, and I was just throwing it on a little VMC. It's actually a shaky head jig head, and the reason I picked this is it has the lighter wire hook than a lot of my swim bait jig heads do. So I wanted that lighter wire hook because I was throwing the lighter tackle. I wanted to ensure a good hook set. This is the rod was a 7-foot medium Ducket Ghost. This is one this will be my kids and my wife's rod. I'm gonna swap this out for a Abu Garcia, and I was throwing a Fluger President reel. It's a pretty good reel. 10 ball bearings. The drag's okay, but that was the ticket today, and it was a good day for swim baits, I guess. We had a lot of wind, a lot of cloud cover, as you'll see in the video. But if you feel they're hitting moving baits, and try give Finesse swim bait fishing a try. If it's a little tough, downsize your tackle. If you should be getting hit, you know there's fish there, and you know you should be getting hit, and you're just not getting hit, you might need to downsize your stuff. But enjoy the video. Hope it helps. Take care. The water's down to the low 60s. So we already know that most of the fish are going to be shallow and chasing bait. The lake I'm fishing today is very clear, and it's very deep, and it's shaped like a big bowl. So there isn't much structure to be looking at. The one thing it does have is it has flats in the 4 corners of the lake, and it also has a lot of vegetation in the shallow water. I don't even know what kind of weeds it is, really. It's not milfoil, hydrilla, or water chestnut, or anything like that. It's something I never really seen before except at this lake. But I threw everything at them this morning. I threw crankbaits, spinnerbaits, jerkbaits, chatterbaits, topwater, buzzbaits, all kinds of stuff, and everything I threw I had no luck with. So I even threw bigger swim baits, all different kinds of swim baits, and they weren't working either. So I decided that I needed to downsize everything. I rigged up the spinning rod with the light line, threw a smaller swim bait on a light wire hook, and sometimes that's just how it works in these, especially in clear lakes. The fish get picky, or the bite gets tough, and sometimes you just need to downsize. And because we're using Finesse equipment, this is considered Finesse swim baits. Anytime you're doing any kind of swim bait fishing, you really need to figure out the answers to certain things, so you can kind of narrow it down further and have a pattern you can run with. And they are the color of the bait, the size of the bait, the depth you want to fish at, the retrieve, the speed of your retrieve, and your cover and structure. Well, the color, it's clear. It's a clear lake, so we're always going to pick some kind of natural color. Today I tried about 4 different colors before I actually got bit, and then I ran with that color the rest of the day, and I did pretty good. The size, a lot of times it's going to go by the size of the forage in the lake. Um, Today, because the bite was a little tough, and the fish were a little picky, I just downsized it, and it seemed to work well. Now your depth, this part was easy because it is the fall. We already know we're targeting shallow. Next is your retrieve. This is where you experiment a little bit until you kind of figure out what's working. If one thing that happens with swim baits is a lot of times when you're just reeling them in at a steady pace, you'll get followers that are the fish are just kind of following behind the swim bait, and then they'll see the boat and they turn around and go about their business, but they don't strike. A tip for that is add twitches, or sometimes you could be slow rolling it and then all of a sudden kill it for a couple seconds and then start your retrieve again. And a lot of times those little change of directions will trigger strikes. Next would be speed. That kind of goes hand in hand with retrieve, but I kind of consider it different because you can do all those twitching and all the pauses and all that stuff, but if you're not keeping your speed, if you don't figure out the proper speed, you're not going to be able to replicate that bite. And sometimes the speed of that bait's key. And last is your cover and structure. This is just going to be the place where those fish are gonna hold up. In this lake today, it was on the vegetation. If you're fishing a lake that doesn't have vegetation, it might be stumps or laydowns or whatever. What I figured out today was that the fish were holding in parts of the shallows where the bottom composition must have changed, because you'd have these huge sections where there wasn't any vegetation at all, and they were holding right on the edge of that where the vegetation met the bare spot. So I could run that pattern all around the lake, and that's what I did. I just kept running that pattern, fishing those edges, and it worked out. When you're throwing finesse swim baits, your equipment's key. Obviously, you want a spinning outfit. I like a 7-foot medium action. You need a reel with a good drag, and I want the drag set so that when I finish my hook set, that drag's starting to let off. Because I'm fishing with 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader, so it's not very strong line, so I can't really set that hook hard or else I'm going to break the line. Also, I'm using light wire hooks. I want to use light wire hooks because my equipment's lighter, and I need to make sure it gets a good hook set in that fish's mouth, so those thinner hooks are going to penetrate the mouth better. And that's pretty much it. When the bite's tough and the fish are a little picky, give finesse swim baiting a try. It's a fun way. It's a fun way to catch them, especially since you're fishing on that light line and that light tackle. You're catching 2-pounders and they feel big, so that's fun. But even in the summer, sometimes when the bite's tough, being willing to downsize to the finesse stuff, especially finesse swim baits, that might be the difference between 10 or 15 fish instead of 2 or 3 fish. And obviously the more fish you catch, the better time you're gonna have. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.